So welcome. Thanks for being here tonight. We want to teach a class tonight on interdependence. So we just celebrated Independence Day. Tonight we're going to talk about interdependence. Because we know from the experience we've had through this COVID situation that we really are interdependent on one another. And if that hasn't taught us anything but that. And also we're interdependent within our body. So we're going to play around with that. But first we're going to start with a seated meditation. You can also lay down if it feels better for you to lay. Now I'm sitting my hips up on just the edge of a blanket. You can use a block, a blanket, a towel, and then sitting yourself so that your low back lifts and the heart lifts. But if that's not comfortable, by all means, lay down. So we want to make sure that the body is relaxed and open. If we're adding tension on top of tightness, that's not really a pleasurable thing. So if you're laying down, just release the feet, let the feet flop open to the side. Think about elongating the spine, whether you're sitting or whether you're laying, you're elongating the spine. And we start to slow the mind. So closing the eyes is helpful. It reduces the distraction, helps you bring the awareness inward. As you slow the mind, you start to realize that you're not maybe jumping from one thought to another. That's the mind's job to think, so we never stop the mind from thinking, but we can begin to slow that process, and we start to become aware. What thoughts are we actually grasping onto, and what thoughts can we let float by? So perhaps you've heard this before with regards to meditation, like the clouds in the sky. Actually, there are no clouds in the sky today, but imagine clouds in your mind's eye, or simply position yourself next to a brook or a stream and notice the leaves that are floating by. And imagine now those clouds, the clouds or the leaves are like your thoughts. They're going to come and they're going to go, and you're going to decide, do you latch on? Do you pick up the leaf? Do you leave them to float by? And just notice what thoughts catch your attention. Notice which thoughts draw your mind away from the present moment. There's no judgment here, we're just observing. And it's through that awareness that we begin to develop a passion and an understanding for the stillness of the mind. So notice now, do you find yourself picking up each leaf and looking at it before setting it down, or can you let some float by? So we take a few more breaths here. See if you can stay in the present moment. Let a few more thoughts go by without picking them up or latching onto them. Simply take note of this presence. Recognize those thoughts. So you become the observer, the seer, without having to react or respond to every thought. Present here in the space. Slowly open your eyes. If you're in a lying position, slowly hug your knees to your chest, rolling to the side and coming up to a seated position. And then once you're seated, we will all together stand for our warm-up. So coming to the center of your mat, just inhale, lifting your gaze, lifting your arms up to the sky. And exhale, letting your arms float back down. Another great way to become present is to match the movement with the breath. And let's do one more here. Inhaling up, staying here, leaning over to the left. Push down through the right foot. Staying for another round of breath, and then beginning to move when the next inhale is initiated. So not coming up until you've got the next inhale, and then we'll exhale over to the right. Exhaling. Inhaling back to the center. Good, and bring your hands to the top of your thighs, bend your knees, move your hips back and draw your spine forward in a standing cat-cow. As you exhale now, the spine's going to go back. You round your upper back and scoop the tailbone under. This time, as you move your thighs back, lift and open the heart, lift the gaze, and exhale, round. Let's do one more here. Inhaling. And before you move, let the breath, the exhale starts, and then the move comes with it. Good, come back up to standing. Inhale again, arms up to the sky. Pause and hold the breath. Turn over to the right, or left, to the left, and let your arms come down, shoulder height. Do that again. Inhale, lift. Pause with the breath, slowly turn over to the right. Exhale, arms down, shoulder height. Good, let's do that one more time each side. Inhale to the top, holding the breath, turning all the way over to the left. Exhale, arms down. When the inhale begins, the arms lift. Pausing here, turning over to the right, and arms come down. Inhaling, arms up. Come back to center, release your hands down. All right, so come to the front of your mat. And we're going to start out here at the front of the mat with the feet parallel and hip width apart. Inhale, lift the arms up to the sky. And exhale, float down to your forward fold. Bend one knee and then the other, using your breath as you go. Bending one knee, straightening the other, going back and forth here. If your hamstrings are super tight, maybe both legs need to be bent. That's okay. Just emphasize one a little more than the other, maybe even moving your hips side to side. So some of you have much longer legs than I do, so this isn't going to be quite as easy for you, and that's okay. Good, and then lift both hips up toward the sky. Your legs, again, they may not straighten all the way, but the action is lifting the hips, and then inhale, lift your head and heart forward. Exhale, release down. Inhale, step the right leg back to deep lunge and drop the back knee down. Okay, lost an earring. Okay. Inhale, bring your arms up to the sky. Drag your back knee forward. Start to turn over to the left. Bring your right hand to your left knee, left hand behind you. Good. Bring both hands down to either side of your front foot and wiggle your front foot forward just a couple inches. And then draw the toes back as you move your hips back by straightening the front leg or attempting to. Again, you may keep a bend here if that's too much on the hamstring. Otherwise, move the hip back, send your hips out toward the left, and then drag your left hip back, your right hip forward. So the toes are lifted and separated, but you're pushing through the ball of the big toe. So between the ball of the big toe all the way up to your hip, you're trying to pull in both directions. And then flatten the foot, stretching out the top of the foot. So all of these are suggestions of actions. If that doesn't feel good in your body, please go back to pulling the toes back. Good, and then place the foot down on the floor. Straighten the back leg and step back to downward facing dog. Now, pretending your hand is like a teeter-totter, Notice what happens if you press down more into your fingertips. Can you feel the heel of your palm get lighter? You're not lifting the palm up off the floor, but you're emphasizing the fingertips so you're not dumping into the wrist, okay? Moving the weight back into your the back of your legs by spinning your inner thighs back behind you. So you're in your down dog. In fact, bend your knees first. Bend your knees deeply. Look up at your hands. Press your fingertips down and watch your fingertips get white. And then push your hips back. Then begin to lift your hips. Maybe your legs straighten, maybe they don't. Do that again. Inhale, bend deeply. Look at your fingertips. Spread your fingers wide. Press down. Then push your hips back and lift up. Down dog. Drop your knees down to the earth and bring your right foot forward and come upright. Inhale, reach your arms up to the sky. Drag your back knee forward. Slowly turn over to the right. Left hand to the right knee, right hand behind you. Allowing the spine to gently twist. We're not forcing here. Good. Bring the hands down to either side of the front foot. Wiggle that front foot forward, just a couple inches, and then move the hips back. Flare the inner thighs out to the right and take the right hip back, left hip forward. Draw the toes back toward your knee. Drag the heel back, like the heel is caught on your mat, but attempt to drag the heel back. And you'll notice if your hamstrings are really tight, that won't feel the greatest, so just back off that if you need to. Planting the toes back down, flattening the foot, and stretching the top of the foot. Take your hips out to the right again. Right hip back, left hip forward. Bend into the front leg, straighten the back leg. Step forward, forward fold. Bring your hands to your hips, elbows to the sky. Inhale and rise. Okay, how are we doing? Doing okay? All right, so let's go around for the second side, or this, go around for a second sun salutation, so we'll switch it around this time. Inhale, lift your arms up to the sky. Exhale, come down, forward fold. Inhale, lift halfway up. Exhale, release down. Inhale, step the left leg back to deep lunge. Bending into the knee first, reach the crown of the head forward. And then exhale, keeping the knee bent, look back to your belly. And do that again. Inhale, reaching the crown of the head forward. And exhale, looking back. This time, inhale, look forward. And as you look back to your belly, begin to attempt to straighten the front leg. So kind of like what we did on the first side, but the back knee was bent. This time both legs are straight. Inhale again, bend, and exhale, straighten. Let's do one more breath forward. Exhaling, moving the hips back, and then flare the hips out to the right. Right hip back, left hip forward. Push down through the ball of the big toe. Bending into the front knee, walk your hands up the front knee. Draw the belly button back for stability, and then move your hips out to the right. Scoop the tailbone under and reach your arms up to the sky. Now you can always keep one hand on that knee if you need that for support. Otherwise, bring both arms up. Draw the ribs back. Nice job. Hands down. Step back to top of a push-up position. So your shoulders are right over your wrists. Bending the elbows. You can drop the knees down to lighten the load, Or keep your legs straight. Bend the elbows, slowly lower down. Keep the elbows tucked in by your sides. Untuck your toes. Walk your legs out long toward the back of your mat. Rotate the shoulders up and away from the floor. Drag your hands back, lift your heart. Elbows are tucked in by your side and bent deeply. So the back is doing the work, not your arms, right? This is arms, this is back. Good. So your back is doing the work. You can even test yourself by lifting your hands, pressing the tops of the feet down. Good. And then curl yourself back, knees down and wide, heels toward the hips, come into child's pose. Checking in with the breath. This is a great time to reverse the last pose. If you cranked on your low back a little bit, now here is going to be a way to relax the low back. Staying for another couple breaths here. Curling the toes under, lift back to downward facing dog. Hugging your arms together here, move your hips back. So you're trying to get most of your weight into your feet and off of your wrists. Lift your right leg up toward the sky. Push your hands away from you, reach that leg higher. Good, release the right leg. Bring the left leg up to the sky. Swing that leg up and through between your hands. Come into deep lunge on this side. So keep wiggling that back, that left foot forward up between your hands. That'll be good alignment for you. Bring that foot all the way up between your hands. Keep wiggling it forward. I know the mats are sticky, but keep going. And then inhale, lift the crown of the head forward, bending into the knee. And exhaling, looking back to the belly, begin to straighten the leg. And do that again a few more times. Inhale, reach forward. Exhale, move your hips back. So maybe that front leg straightens all the way, maybe it doesn't. Inhale and exhale. Move your inner thighs way over to the left and take your left hip back, right hip forward. Lift and separate your toes and push down through the ball of the big toe. Bend into the knee, walk your hands up the left knee, move your hips way out to the left. And then as you draw the tail down, notice that helps you come upright a little more. So you're up on the ball of your back foot. Reach the right arm up to the sky or both arms. Draw the ribs back. Check your gaze. Look for something ahead of you that's not moving, something specific you can focus on, but have a soft gaze. Good. Reach your hands down. Step forward, forward fold. All right, so you're in your forward fold here. Try bending one leg and then the other again with the breath. Well, I shouldn't say try. Let's do that. Bend one leg and then the other, and see if things have opened up a little bit for you here. And no judgment if they haven't, just notice. And then lift both hips toward the sky. Bring your hands to your hips, elbows to the sky. Lift halfway up here and pause. Lift and separate your toes. Push down through the ball of the big toe. Separate your little toes way out to the sides of your mat. Feel what's going on all the way up your legs. And then push down and rise up. Okay, how are we doing? Good? We're not overheating, right? I'm feeling a little bit of shade. All right. So let's do a couple things here. Standing, balancing. Stand on your left leg, pick up your right ankle, place it on top of your left knee. And then bend your standing leg and move your hips back. Press your hands into the center. Lift the heart. Ooh, can you feel that in your hip? Press your hands together, press the ankle and the knee together. Can you feel that up in your hip? Lift and separate the toes on the top foot. Does that get deeper in the hip? Yes. This is like a standing pigeon. Yes. Go ahead and release. Okay, so we're touching down. Now balancing on the same leg, reach back and grab the ankle for a quad stretch. So draw the knees together, move the hips back, and scoop the tailbone. So the base of the spine pushes down. Now the other hand can counterbalance as you like. Heel toward the bum, knee toward the earth. Inhale, heel toward the bum. Exhale, release the knee. Nice job. All right, same balancing leg. Come into tree pose. So anywhere you want the right foot to go, upper thigh, the shin, and then again we're going to find something overhead, like one of the fence posts behind me. Like if you look up to the mountain, it's probably going to be too much, but find the top of a fence post, squeezing into that midline. And it's all right if you bobble, right? That means you're trying. I'm trying. Can you see that? All right. So you can go on the shin or up on the thigh. Sometimes it takes us a little bit to get there. Holy cow. Sometimes it takes us a long time to get there. I think I'm going downhill. Okay. All right, go ahead and come out when you're ready. Just because I'm struggling, you shouldn't have to stay there. Okay, come back now to the other side. So do everything we just did, but on the other side. So this foot, you want the toes facing forward, whatever forward is for you, and send that energy down that leg and cross I think I am really going downhill here. Okay, crossing the ankle over the knee, pressing the hands together, move the thighs back. The more you hug into the midline, the more you'll find that stability. And notice now, if you lift and separate the toes, that interconnectedness goes all the way up into the hip. If you lift your heart more, can you feel it in the hip? Staying with the breath here. One more inhale and exhale. Good, and coming out of that posture. Nice job. Okay, so another balance here, grabbing the ankle of the opposite foot. Thighs back, scoop the tailbone. Yeah, I love the playful spirit when we bobble around, right? It's just funny. Some days are better than others, and we just go back, right back. Keep trying. Heel to the bum, knee toward the earth. You can even match that with your breath. Inhale, think about the heel moving toward the bottom, and the knee releasing toward the earth. Nice job. Okay, we ready for one more? So here we go, tree pose on this side. So again, sending that energy down the standing leg, and then pick up the opposite foot. Hands can hug into the midline, ribs back. Challenging yourself if you like to grow branches and even look up toward the sky. It's a challenge, right? Good, so coming out of that posture when you're ready, or staying there if you just got there. Okay, now so try this with me. Inhale, reach up toward the sky, and exhale, come down one more time to a forward fold. And when you get there, try bending one leg and then the other, and just notice if anything has shifted for you with all of those other things we've just done. And just notice. So maybe your hands more readily come toward the earth, maybe they don't. Either way is fine. Maybe it feels a little more open in the hip as you bend one leg and then the other. And then go ahead and come down onto your knees. And if you spin so that you're sideways on your mat like I am, then that way what we're going to do is take the right foot out to the right, and then you're on your mat or blanket. Yeah. So right foot out to the right, toes facing the long end of your mat. Curl the left toes under and notice how that integrates the whole leg, right? So that's going to help us in our posture when we curl those back toes under. Inhale, bring your arms up to the sky. Create the long side body. So like you're trying to reach one hand higher than the other, and notice now you've stretched out both sides. Keep that length as you come down, left hand to the mat, right arm up and over. So both sides of the body are long. Left hand down, right arm over. Take a deep breath in and out. And on the next inhale, we come up and the right hand goes down the right leg and the left arm up and over. Good, release. Let's switch sides. So the right knee goes down, left foot out, facing the long end of your mat. Your right toes are curled under. Inhale again, reaching both arms up, and then stretch up one side and then the other. So both sides are nice and long before you come down onto your right fingertips, and the left arm reaches over. So you're still pushing down through the left foot in order to reach the left fingertips even more. Deep breath in and out. And on the next inhale, we rise, left hand down the left leg, right arm up and over. Good, and release. Okay, so I've got a couple more I want to do from a seated position. So go ahead and come down onto your hips. Hug the knees in. So walk the feet in, hug the knees in, and lift the heart. So the idea is we're going to try to balance on our sitting bones, and notice the difference between my sitting bones and sitting on my tailbone, right? So you're trying to lift the heart, and we're going to teach this in a progression so you can decide here. Come up onto your tippy toes. See if you can still keep the integrity of lifting the low back. And then maybe you can pick your feet up off the floor. Can you still stay upright? And no shame if you need to come back down, right? You're being honest with your body and honoring your integrity. Good, so stay up here. Maybe you reach one leg and the other leg. Or maybe you just hold both legs up this way. So you can still hug your knees in, but it's a little more of a challenge. Or maybe both legs. If you go both legs, keep the heart lifted, keep the low back lifted, and hug the feet together. Coming in and out of the posture as you need to. So doing the pose that feels right for you. Let's go one more of whatever version of that you like. Good, and then cross your legs one over the other. Walk yourself forward. So connecting here with the breath, stretching out the low back. Rise up, switch the other leg in front and do the same thing, reaching forward. Good, so rise up. I want to show you a pose here that is a great hip opener. For some, it may not be so great. So you're going to try it. If you don't like it, come back to what we just did. That's a great hip opener as well. You're going to cross the knees on top of each other and walk the feet out. So let's go the same. So, what have you got? The left. So you got your right leg on top. So do I. Okay, so right leg on top. And then try to separate your feet out as wide as they'll go. Lift and separate the toes. Interlace your hands around your knee. We're not trying to pull the knee up, but by having that leverage of the knee, feel the hips move back, the low back lift, and the heart lift. Can you feel that into that hip? Again, if it doesn't feel good, go ahead and come out of the posture and just cross your legs and fold forward. Now, if you want to fold forward here, you can. That may not be your thing. You decide. Yeah, so the knees are really popped up and you're thinking, how in the world are those knees ever going to come together? You don't worry about that. They may never come together. That's not a problem. Okay, so now we're going to switch, but I'm just going to show you a really fun way that you can switch if you trust me, okay? So we're going to push down into the feet and rotate around without bringing your mat with you. And now we got the other leg in front. So see, it worked, didn't it? You trust me. Okay, so again, interlacing your hands however you get there. So we're not trying to pull the knee up, the knee's trying to move down, but by using that leverage, then we can lift the heart. And attempt to move your hips back. Can you feel that's a little deeper stretch when you push the hips back? You can attempt to walk the feet further away from each other to get deeper into the posture. Nice job. And then folding over if you like that version. Chloe wants to come do yoga with us. I'm pretty sure that's what she's barking about. Okay, so last pose, we're going to come down onto our back and lay all the way back and interlace your hands behind the right hamstring. Yep, so your head is all the way down. I'll see if I can be articulate enough to guide you so you don't have to look at me. Okay, so you're going to lift and separate the toes. You've got a 90-degree angle in the ankle, the knee, and the hip. So the knee is bent. You're pushing the foot away from you without taking the arms out of the shoulder socket. So you want the arms integrated into the shoulder socket, but your leg is pushing into your interlaced hands. Now, move the hips down so the low back begins to lift, and then keep that as you straighten the leg up toward the sky. Slowly cross the foot slightly over the midline, over to the left, just a little, like you're trying to push up to the sky with your right heel. Lift and separate the toes on your left leg also, and press the left heel down. Good. Come back to the center. Release the hands and slowly let the right leg come down to the earth. Pause here and notice the difference between your right and left side. Extend your right leg long and press that heel down. Interlace your hands behind the left hamstring. 90-degree angle in the ankle, the knee, and the hip. Releasing the head down and lifting the low back by rotating your pelvis so the low back lifts. Pushing into your hands, but keeping the arms integrated into the shoulder socket. Then begin to straighten that bent leg. Reach the heel up toward the sky. Slowly push that heel up toward the sky, but bring it over the midline, over to the right a little bit. Push through the heel again and slowly come back to center. Keep extending the leg long as you release your hands. Slowly let the leg come down to the earth. Now notice your body just as it lands, and then we'll get situated here together so we can integrate the body by pressing the elbows down. Walk the shoulders underneath you, let the low back lift and the heart open. And then place your hands down, palms face up. Let the legs naturally flop open to the sides. And be here with your breath. Slowly close your eyes if you haven't already. And come back to that idea of letting the mind quiet, letting the thoughts just float by. And see if this is a little bit easier exercise for you to do after you've moved the energy around in the body. Typically, people find meditation so much easier after a practice of our postures. So just notice. Releasing the tension in the scalp and the jaw. Scanning your body now with your thoughts, your awareness down to the shoulders and relax them. To the low back and to the hips, to the legs and to the feet. And back up into your arms and your hands. See if you can let go more. Notice how integrated you are when you think a soft, relaxing thought, how your body responds in kind. So the body and the mind talk to each other. A lot of times it's through the wisdom of the breath. So the breath becomes this guide that can help inform us. We can listen to the body, listening to the mind. In this relaxed, receptive position, I'd like to read to you the Declaration of Interdependence by B.J. Gallagher and Lisa Hammond. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that we are all created equal, but each is blessed with different gifts and talents. We are all endowed with certain individual rights, but each must assume shared responsibilities. For the happiness of all depends on the commitment of each to support both equality and individuality, both rights and responsibilities. We declare all of us to be mutually interdependent, banding together to support one another, sharing our experience, strength, and hope, that all may enjoy life, love, and the pursuit of laughter. We agree to encourage one another in tough times and celebrate in good times. We commit to taking turns, leading and following, inspiring and teaching, listening and learning. We agree to give credit where credit is due, including ourselves. We commit to loving ourselves first because we can't give what we don't have. With this declaration of interdependence, we set ourselves free from old beliefs that are no longer true, free from self-doubt, insecurity, and loneliness, free from self-imposed perfectionism. We set ourselves free, heeding our intuition in all her guises, loving our bodies through every change, finding our voices to speak our own truths. We set ourselves free to create fulfilling work, to form nurturing families, and to build great friendships. We are strong, we are beautiful, we are generous, we are wise. Feeling the support of the earth beneath you. Bring that breath in through the nose and down to the belly. And let the breath begin to deepen with every breath. Without force, but just the awareness sometimes makes that breath automatically become deeper. The next breath you take in, send it down to your fingertips and your toes, and begin making small movements there. And if it's hard for you to begin moving your fingers and your toes, that's a great sign that you're deeply relaxed, right? So we very gently come back into this present place, being very gentle with the body. So we start with the extremities, and then we gently move to the wrist and the ankles, the knees and the elbows, and eventually lovingly hugging the knees into the chest. So taking your time to move the knees to the chest, hugging them in and rolling onto the right side. Feel free to rock a little bit there side to side if that feels good before coming to rest on your side. And then coming up from that sideways position, taking a comfortable seat. We should all bring our dogs to yoga. Bring your hands in front of the heart when you're ready, just as a place to recognize the present moment, and in gratitude, bowing toward this beautiful space to practice. And for each of you giving me the reason to be here, I thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.